Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, my journal and planner lineup. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, it is almost planner season. It is August, which is officially the start of planner season for 2027. And I know we are still in the third quarter, but planner season starts early because it takes a long time to figure out exactly what we want our lineups to be and to order those planners, set them up, and get everything ready for the new year. I have been obsessed with journals and planners for as long as I can remember, but planner season has really been a thing that makes me so excited for the past few years, and it's just my absolute favorite. I am starting my 2027 planner journal lineup videos with this one where I'm going to actually take some time to look back on 2026 and what worked and what didn't. So before I can figure out my lineup for 2027, I really need to get an idea of what I like that's in my current setup and what is not working so well for me and kind of talk through that process with you guys. So in today's video, we're going to do a brief overview of my 2026 lineup and what is still here from the beginning of the year, what has changed, what is still working for me, what's not working, and kind of what my thoughts are on this system. And then I'm going to mind map with you guys a little bit about what my 2027 lineup is going to look like. And then I'm going to do a little bit more of a dive into kind of how I want to get that system set up and go from there. I will try to put timestamps in the description box below for some of these key points if you want to skip around. I'm not entirely sure at this point how long this video is going to be because I don't have that set of an outline for it at this point because I'm going to let the video kind of speak for itself. So to start, let's go ahead and talk about what you see right here, which is my 2026 lineup. So to preface that, I want to say I do have a ton of videos on my YouTube channel about my 2026 lineup, including monthly plan with me's and monthly flip throughs. So if you want to see any of these journals in detail, definitely check those out. I will link playlists in the description box below and key videos if you want to learn more about this specific setup. So for 2026, I would say I have let's see, I'm just going to organize these a little bit. I have 3 ongoing journals and planners here. These are books that came from prior to 2026. I started them in 2025 or before, and I will probably continue them into 2027. I'm going to talk about those ones in a moment, but let's talk about my books that I started in 2026 and kind of how they're going for me. So I have 5 books right here. Let me just move these ones out of the way. And we'll talk about why I have 5 books. So if you are new here, I am both a journaler and a planner. I am a crafter. I do a lot of paper crafts, including scrapbooking and other types of memory keeping. And I need ways to keep all of that organized. I'm also a full-time attorney. So I have work, which has another separate book that is not here. Actually, let me grab that really quickly. So here, to be totally transparent, here is my 2026 lineup, all 6 of them. So this is my work planner, and I'll just talk about this one super quickly. So this is a Paper Test Designs A5 yearly notebook. I do not use the dated version from this for a couple of reasons, but essentially I do all of my work planning and tracking in here, and I am a tax attorney. Everything that's in here is highly confidential through attorney-client privilege and because I work for the government for taxes, so I have a lot of taxpayer information. So I don't share this planner on the internet. I do have a setup video talking about how I use this, so if you are interested in that, I will link that in the description box below. That is before I started using it for anything, but now it has content in here. And so I just wanted to touch on this one because that is something that is kept separate from here. That said, I do need planning. So for 2026, I have 2 planners, and I'll talk about those, 2 like life planners. And then I have a craft planner, which is specifically for my crafts. And then I have 2 journals. So let's go ahead and talk about the journals first. So starting in 2023, I kept a daily journal, and this has been a habit that I absolutely love and want to continue in 2027. In 2026, I moved away from Hobonichi, which is what I had used in all of the previous years, to get the daily planner from Sterling Ink. And flipping to just some of the blank pages here, this just has a page per day, and I use this as a daily journal. I use this while I'm traveling. I do a lot of travel journaling in here. So you hear some like travel from Asia, and I have more traveling in here. I also have just everyday life journaling, and I absolutely love how this journal has come together, but I don't love how chunky it is. So in 2027, one of my big things for my daily journal is I do want it to be in a 2-book system, which this journal unfortunately is not offered in the 2-book system. So I had originally switched to this journal because it has monthly spreads and then daily spreads and no weekly spreads, which is something that I loved as a way to downsize into 2026 from 2027 or from 2025, because in 2025 I was in the Hobonichi Cousin Avec, which I absolutely loved. It was the 2-book system for the year, and that was perfect. What I didn't love was that it also had weekly spreads, which was something else I had to fill. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to move on to my second journal, which I started in 2026, which is a 5-year journal. So for 2026, I started this 5-year journal. You can see I have, the first half of 1 year in here, and I'm going to continue this. And this is obviously going to continue through 2030. I've got some stuff on the front here, so I probably need to decorate this cover so that it stays nice. It's already kind of bulking up just at the top because of the 1 year that it's been used, which I think is kind of fun. And I'm excited about this one. I've been enjoying it. It definitely takes some time from my journaling and my other stuff, so that's just something to keep in mind with this one. But for 2027, I'm going to continue this. So I'm just going to move that to the side. Now let's talk about planning. So I have my craft planner, which I have consistently kept in a separate journal or planner from my other planning, because my craft hobby is so prolific in my life. I not only craft quite a bit, I also share craft content, which, like this video you're watching right now. So I need a way to organize all of that. And this is the Freely Planned from Planner Monkey Co. And I haven't loved this book. I'll tell you, there's quite a few reasons why I didn't love the layout. I just felt the quality wasn't there that I really wanted. It's not awful. It really isn't. But it's just not something I'm going to use again. I do like how I have, let's see, in this beginning, they have these trackers, which I kind of used for YouTube planning. And then there's some trackers, which I struggled with a little bit. I'm going to work on seeing what I need in the future for that. I have my monthly calendars, which is where I where I track all of the content that I've shared on Instagram and YouTube to keep me on top of that. There's weekly spreads, which I have used for notes as I'm editing and to keep me on track with what projects I need to work on. And then there are blank pages. And these blank pages are where I keep all sorts of notes and ideas. I keep track of my content, my growth. I have my project life list of how I want to keep track of that. I track my vlogs and travel vlogs. So I have a reference book of all of the things I need for my channels. I also do all sorts of project sketches in here. And then I also do my project planning and tracking. I track products every month, and I do plan to do all of these things in 2027. I just need a different book for that. Okay, then let's talk about my main planning. So I have 2 planners in 2026, which is similar to what I did in 2025. I have one which is an on-the-go planner, and then I have my Take a Note. So I love Take a Note. This is probably my favorite journal planner brand. Their paper is so ridiculously dreamy. It is Tomoe River paper, like all of the books that I use, but for whatever reason, it is just better. It is a slightly higher GSM, so it's a little thicker, and I'm not sure if that's what makes it dreamier. I don't know, but their paper is just amazing. So I use this as my functional planner. So I have my monthlies here where I use this for functional planning. And I also use this for cleaning tracking and all of the pieces of my life that I need to keep track of outside of work and crafts. So basically everything that's not my work. So keeping track of the house, doctor's appointments, things with friends, other just obligations, everything I have going on in my life. Then I use the weekly spread. So this planner specifically has a horizontal weekly and then a column per day. And I use this as a task list, but then I also use it for memory keeping. So I use this as a place to keep track of what happens every day. And I also have some gaps, which I haven't done. But most of them are completely filled with memory keeping and my daily task list. And I absolutely love flipping through this. I love how this planner has come together, but it is a lot of work to keep up with. This planner is not functional as my only planner because it's too big, and this lives on my desk at home, which is where this one comes in. So this is a weekly diary from Soft Paper Studio, which is essentially a Hobonichi Weeks dupe. And I use this for functional monthlies on the go. So if I am, at the counter at a doctor's office trying to make an appointment, I can look in here and see what future months hold in terms of scheduling something. And then this also has the weeklies, which are blank in here because this is undated. And essentially, let me just go to one that I've set up. I use this, so I set this up each month, and I've been using this to keep track of journaling. So I have been using the left side here for notes of what happened every day, which basically is a reference to fill in this and maybe back journal. And then I've been using the right-hand side for health tracking, meals, all sorts of random notes. I tried tracking of various things throughout the planner. I've tried some journaling in here. I've tried, trying to fill it in. Other times I don't. Other times I do. But it's really hit or miss. The big thing with this one is on the go, so I can take this with me. It also has all these blank note pages in the back, and I just haven't used many of them, mostly because I don't love this book. It doesn't lay flat, which drives me insane with this size. But I have used it to keep track of some stories that I want to backfill in my journal. So I think looking at my 2026 lineup here, the biggest issue is this. I have too much duplication and I need to do something differently. So I'm just keeping that in mind. Before we get talking about 2027 though, I'm going to talk about my ongoing books. So I have these 3. This is my house journal, and I have a separate video flipping through this and talking about what this one is. But essentially, this is where I keep track of everything related to my house. So I own my own home, and I have done quite a few updates in my house. I do home maintenance, of course, as a homeowner. And so what I do in here is I keep track of when things happen. So for example, here on April 18th, 2026, I planted some new plants in the front yard. So I brought those stickers in here so I know what I planted and where I planted it and when I planted it. I have some notes in here in 2025. I got a new cabinet in here, and I can see how much I paid for it and where I purchased it and when I purchased it, and all of those notes are in here. I have all sorts of things like a new couch, and then I put the flyer in here from it. And let's see, I have a picture of what the yard looked like, working on redoing a room, and I have my inspiration board in here and the paint swatch. So there's a lot of stuff like that. There's also maintenance things in here as well. Like here I had the dryer vent cleaned and hooked up. And so I put the contact information for the company I used and how much it cost and all of that. So that was really just helpful information to have as a homeowner. And I do have a separate video about this. And essentially I plan to continue using this. It is dated to go through 2027. My plan is to continue using this exact same book for the entire time I own this home. And essentially, because I don't do it every day, say it is June 7th, 2028, and I need to do an update, I will just make a note here that I'm talking about 2028 and write it in there, because there are very few days in here that I have something on every single page. I just don't. So that is my home journal, which I will continue to keep. Then I have this, which is called a thinking book, which is essentially a blank notebook for random notes. I keep track of all sorts of things in here. I want to do more like journaling in here. I did at the beginning of the year, I did a lot of journaling in here based on like nonfiction reading, and I tracked some content prep, which this ended up getting moved to my craft planner. But a lot of this I have kind of stopped doing because I just haven't had the time to do it, because I've been trying to keep up with everything else. So that is something I want to keep in mind in 2026 or 2027. I have only filled this through here, and that was starting like, I think I started this in like September of 2025. So I want to be adding more in here. I mean, this isn't my overflow journal, so if I don't add anything, that's fine. It's undated. If I add just a page a month, that's totally okay. But this is, you know, I do pen testing and I keep notes. I do random math stuff in here that I need to do. I created a packing list for a trip. I did a ridiculous tracker of all of the characters on Grey's Anatomy and when they joined the show. So all sorts of random stuff like that. A spring bucket list, my catch-up log of what I wanted to catch up on in my planner. So just all sorts of random things, and I do plan to continue this one in 2027. Then we have my commonplace journal. And this one, I love this book. I want to keep this. I am so into the idea of the commonplace journal. And this is essentially where I keep notes of all those random screenshot things, things I pulled out of magazines, just information I want to keep track of. The problem is I just haven't been updating it. And that is really just because I have so many journals and planners to keep up with. I rarely have a time when I sit down at my desk and I think, all of my journals and planners are caught up. Let me work on my commonplace book. Instead, I'm usually back journaling in my daily journal. So that is something I want to prioritize this book more in 2027 and keep that in mind in trying to revise my lineup for 2027. So that was a look at my 2026 lineup. Let's start mind mapping 2027. Okay, so let's mind map what I need in my lineup for 2027. So let's start by creating a mind map here. Here we go. So what areas do I need in my journal and planner lineup? Well, obviously I want a journal. So let's start with that. I want to plan. New place for notes. And then I need my ongoing books. Okay, so what do I need in each of these sections? So in my journaling, I have my 5-year journal. So I know that. You know what? I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use a gel pen here. I know I have my 5-year journal daily entry. I also have my daily journal page. But what other journal functions do I absolutely need in my lineup? So I love having my 5-year daily journal entry and my daily journal page. The other thing I do that is journaling is my memory keeping of what happened each day. So and something just to point out, I get questions of why I do this and why, if this is duplicative of my daily journal, and it's not. And that's why I do this, because I scrapbook and do a lot of memory keeping, and sometimes I will come back and do my Project Life weekly spread. For example, if I had to do my Project Life weekly spread for this week, if I went to my daily journal pages for these days, maybe this day is talking about what happened. Maybe this day I'm writing about a book I just read and my thoughts for my 2027 journals. It might have nothing to do with what happened on that day. So I have this as a recap of what happened to kind of free myself in my daily journal to write about whatever I'm feeling at that moment. So these are my kind of 3 journal functions. Here I do want to write down my ongoing books. I have my commonplace. My commonplace notebook. And then I have my house journal. And that's really it in terms of ongoing specific trackers. Obviously my 5-year is still an ongoing book, but it's not, it's more of a journal. Then notes, I need a place for random notes. I also need daily recap notes. So in here this year, I have been keeping track of what happened each day quickly, because honestly, with real life, I can't fill this in each day. Sometimes I am a week or so behind. In fact, as I'm filming this, I am about a week behind in doing my memory keeping. And I don't remember what I did on Monday 1 week ago. So I need a place for daily recap notes. And then I like to keep track of nonfiction notes. Okay, planning. What do I need? I need a functional calendar. I need a daily to-do list. I need trackers. I like to track habits. I track exercise, and I track my yard. And I track cleaning. Okay, I think that's everything that I need. So now what I need to do is figure out what books I need. I need a functional calendar, and I need this to be on the go. so let's talk about my books. Okay, let's do the easy ones first. We are keeping the same commonplace. We're keeping the same house journal. We're keeping the same 5-year journal. And we're keeping the same thinking book. So those are the easy ones, but we still need to mark them. So essentially what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pick a highlighter color for each book. So let me just grab a handful. Let's see here. We've got some colors. Okay, let's start with my commonplace. Well, that's going to include my commonplace notes. That's pretty much it. My house journal. Let's do that one in yellow. It's going to be my house journal. You know what? I totally forgot some stuff. I need my work plans. And then I need craft plans, trackers. And then I need my craft content, calendars. And I need craft to-do lists and notes. Okay. 5-year journal. That's gonna have my 5-year journal daily entries. That's pretty much it. Okay, thinking book. This is where I put my random notes, and this is where I put my nonfiction reading notes. And then I can also do, let's see, random collections. I have not historically put those in my thinking book, but I think that might be where I'm going to include it this year. We'll see. So what else do we have? I know my work planner. Because obviously that one is separate. I'm just going to get brown for this one. That just takes my work plans. Okay. Oh. Now let's do my craft planner. Okay, so this one I'm going to talk about first is my Aura Estelle. And I'm going to talk about this one first because this is the only new 2027 book that I already got. So Aura Estelle reached out to me and gifted me this book, which is amazing. I had never used their products before, but I'd actually considered them for 2027 before they reached out. So I was super excited about this planner, and I instantly picked this one for my craft planner. So I'm going to do a separate video sharing a detailed setup of this planner and a look at how this planner is formatted. But essentially, I'm going to do a few quick flip throughs here. So, and some thoughts on this. So going in here, we've got this yearly overview, which I think would be really good for my future YouTube planning. This yearly goal page is not really formatted how I like, so I'm thinking I might do my craft goals and kind of adhere it in here, but I haven't decided yet. Then I have my monthly calendars, which I love. These are pre-dated because in here, this book is undated. So I'm having to set this up each month with stickers, and that just takes time. This already set up, I can just go ahead and maybe add a little washi on the bottom and track my content. So actually, let's get a color here, or is still a craft planner. We're putting our craft content calendars are going in there. This is actually really neat of a tracker that I haven't used before, and I'm thinking I can use this to keep track of all of the content I need to create for this month and when it needs to be done. So I'm thinking I will use that for some of that. And then hold on. Let's see here. Then it goes into, so then we have a blank spread. So what I think I'm gonna do is use this blank spread for each month to do my actual tracking. So in this book, I had kind of mixed that in with all of my other notes in the back. And so it was I had to keep a tab to know where it was in there. So I'm thinking this is going to be my craft plans and trackers for each month. It's going to be on this blank spread. So then it goes into weekly spreads. And for each week, we have a blank page over here and a weekly spread. And so originally when I had set out to do my craft planner, I thought I didn't need weekly spreads. But this year, I've actually been using these to track the content I need to make for that month or that week and my to-do list for that week, and to keep it out of my daily planner so that I have this one out instead when I'm working on my craft tasks. So I'm gonna actually put that in here on these weekly spreads. And then in the back, so you get through all of the months, which are in order. So I like that. So my monthlies for January are right after my monthly calendar. So I can just have one tab in here for that month of where I am. And then you have all these blank spreads in the back, which will be perfect for all of my notes, all of my craft notes. So all of my craft stuff is in here. Now let's go on to next. We need my daily journal. And so I have looked around for a daily journal for 2027. And I really wanted something like this one, but I couldn't find anything like this in a 2-book system. So I am pretty sure right now I'm gonna go back to the Hobonichi Cousin Avec. So, the Hobonichi Cousin Avec, I've got monthlies, which there is nothing here that I need to fill the monthlies, but I do in here, I've been doing like these monthly icon a day and I love it. So I'm just gonna put that here as something I'm gonna continue. Oh, I also didn't write this down, but I definitely need my monthly vision boards. Just trying to write out the things that I do every month. So in here, I also do monthly goals is what I've been doing. So I'm gonna put that, that's more of like a planning task. And then I do all my daily journaling, and then at the end of the month, I have a monthly vision board. So I definitely need to keep my monthly vision boards. And in the Hobonichi Cousin, there is an intro page each month that can be. And then of course, there's the daily journaling page. What I don't have is something for the weekly. So I've thought about this, and what I think I'm gonna do is move my daily recap memory keeping, so what I've been doing in here, to my weeklies in my Hobonichi Cousin. I like that for a couple reasons. One, I need to use those weeklies for something. And two, it's putting all of these journaling functions in one book, as opposed to combining some of these planner functions into my journal, like the monthly goals, and combining some of these journal functions into my planner, like the daily recap into my functional planner. So I like that idea. Then we need a planner. So I know I need to take a note. So I'm just doing take a note because I need one. So I'm thinking, okay, my take a note here. What do I need in here? So I definitely use this for my daily to-do list. So that's an obvious one. But then we've got, let's see, what do we have in here? We've got our monthlies, and then we just go into our weeklies, and that's it. But this, I love these for my functional calendar, but this is too big for on the go. So I also was thinking, well, if I move my daily memory keeping out of here, this is going to be too big. So this led me to decide, what if I get the A6 taken out? The A6 Take a Note can have an on-the-go functional calendar in it. It has my daily to-do list. I don't have all that extra space to fill, but I will probably have some extra space. What if I use that for my daily recap notes? My guess is I can find a way to fit my trackers in here because you do still get this page and this page. So I'm going to put all of these trackers into this Take a Note, which is the A6. And that means I don't need these two books. I'm going to combine them into one. So all I have left is monthly goals, which I haven't put anywhere, and I'm not entirely sure that I really need to do, but I could put those in my thinking book. And my random collections can also go in my thinking book. So I think this way I have got this down to 8 books, which does seem like a lot, but the only ones I need to update every day are my 5-year journal, my Take a Note, and my Hobonichi Cousin avec. That's got down to 3 daily books, as opposed to this year when I have 4 with my 5-year, my journal, my Take a Note, and my everyday carry. So I've eliminated a book, which I think is going to make a lot of space for me mentally. So this is kind of the way that I like to map this out, and I'm super happy with how this came out. The next thing I wanted to do was a tracker of comparing my 2027 lineup to my 2026. Okay, so when I was getting ready for my 2026 lineup, I wrote this out where I basically kind of compared what I was doing in 2025 to 2026 in an attempt to kind of minimize the things I was doing. And so I don't remember what my color coding was essentially, but I was comparing, okay, in my journal Calendex, I had 3 of these in 2025. I only have 2 in 2026. I've eliminated a function. My journal weeklies, I had the weekly spreads I had to keep up with in 2025 because I had the Hobonichi Cousin avec and the A5 Take a Note. I eliminated those weeklies, so I made this simpler. There were a few things that were new, like my everyday carry. I wanted to add collections. I didn't do those. So there were some new things in 2026. So I wanted to do this again for 2027. So I made this list off camera, and essentially what I did was I wrote out kind of what was I doing that was the same and what was different. So I have a Calendex in my journal again, so I'm going to do that daily recap and a monthly photo. I have the journal monthly. I'm going to do the daily icon, the journal weeklies. I didn't have that in 2026. I'm adding that in 2027. That's an extra spread I need to do. So that, I made a note of that here. Those are those daily recaps that I moved from my Take a Note. My journal monthly intro, I did the vision board and the monthly goals. I eliminated the monthly goals and I simplified the vision board from a 2-page spread to a 1-page spread. I loved the 2-page vision boards, but my God, does it take me an entire day to do my monthly setups this year, and I need to shorten that. I cannot have a full day of filming to do a plan with me. That's just too much time spent on that every month. My my daily journaling is the same. I have a page per day in an A5 planner. Craft planner, I've kind of reorganized it a little bit, but it's the same. My annual Take a Note trackers, I have the exercise tracker. I was doing a time tracker in 2026. So in here, we have this like Calendex thing, and I was doing this to kind of see where does my time go, which I really love that, but it's an additional spread that I don't really need. So I decided I'm going to turn that into my habit tracker because I don't have the extra space anymore on these weeklies to do habits and my yard tracking. And I've also been doing some tracking in here, which I'm not going to have anymore. So moving all of those tracking things onto there makes the most sense for me. And then I do my long-term cleaning tracking on those spreads. My Take a Note spreads, I have my functional monthly, same, but it's smaller now. I have my daily tasks and track list. That's going to be the same. And then instead of doing that daily recap, which I've moved up here, I'm moving my daily notes there, which is coming out of my everyday carry. So this everyday carry, all of these things for 2026 are now gone in 2027. So I had to either eliminate them, which the green dot means I've eliminated it, or I have moved it. So I moved my tracking and my notes to my habits are going here. And then my daily notes are going here. So that's where those things have kind of been transitioned to. And then my other books are staying the same. So I have 17 and a half spreads that are the same because that vision board went from a full 2-page to a half or to 1 page. And then I added one new thing, which is going to be my craft planner task list, which is just kind of moving that out of my take a note, because right now my take a note, and I gotta find one. Sometimes these lists get really long because I have all of these like craft tasks. So I'm gonna try to put that in my craft planner this year because my take a note is going to be so much smaller. And then I've eliminated 4.5 spreads and I've moved 3. So I think I have given myself a little bit of space that is not going to take quite as long to keep up with my 2027 lineup. The other thing I'm doing for that is I'm getting dated books this year so that I don't have to date calendars. So in 2026, I have a lot of undated books. So like this one is undated. And this one is undated, which means I'm having to sit there and do this every month to date these. And honestly, I think it looks better pre-done too. So why am I doing all of this work? So I think I have done enough to simplify my lineup. And I'm super excited to order my books for 2027. So for 2027, I already have this book. I'm not transitioning this one because my work planner doesn't switch at the new year. I actually just moved into this new one. My thinking book is going to continue. My 5 years continuing. My house and commonplace are continuing. So I have to buy 2 books. I need to buy a Hobonichi Cousin Avec for 2027. And I need to buy the A6 Take a Note for 2027. And that's it. That is really not that much that I need to purchase at this point. I already have the new Aura Estelle, which I'm going to go ahead and set up another video and do another video, which I will share with you guys very soon, starting to set up my craft planner for 2027 and share a look at this planner. And then I will just have 2 more books to do. I'm super excited about this. So stay tuned because I will definitely share another 2027 lineup video with you once I have all of my books in hand and I can give you a look at how I'm actually going to use them and set them up for the new year, including an annual vision board and all of those things. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. And I hope that you guys come back. For now, if you have any questions or comments or any thoughts on my 2027 lineup or your 2027 lineup, please leave those down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thank you. Bye.